Hey you folks, Quill18 here, and welcome to the continuation of our Civilization 5 tutorial. And first of all, I have to really apologize for the delay in getting this episode out. The problem is, I've actually recorded 2 more episodes. I've already done this portion of it, and I was sure everything had been uploaded and was complete. And so I started getting these Twitter messages about, hey, when are you going to finish the Civ 5 tutorial? I'm like, I already did. Apparently the videos never got uploaded, and have since presumably been purged from my hard drives to make some space. So I'm going to be playing this again. So the last time we left things off, it was 1120 BC. We were on turn 72. It is now turn 128. I have gone and settled Nottingham over here. I've assembled a bit of an army as well on the borders of Constantinople right here. So we are going to do some warfare, and we're going to talk about that. Now let's talk about what units I have kicking around over here. I have 2 swordsmen, a horseman, a catapult, and 3 longbowmen. I also have a great general over here. So let's talk about why these units are present for this attack. Oh, I have a composite bowman over here as well. All right. And you know why I'm sort of going with the composition. This should be overkill for taking the city, especially since we are playing at a relatively low difficulty, which means we should be technologically ahead of our opponents. The fact that I see a warrior over here, if you recall, the warrior is the very first military unit you can build. So the fact that we see one of those here is a sign that Byzantium over here may not be very technologically advanced, because presumably they would have upgraded this unit. And I don't remember if we talked about upgrading before, so I'm going to go ahead and pan over to this composite bowman and talk about that. The bowman can upgrade to, well, normally a crossbowman, but because we're playing as the English Empire, instead of crossbows, we have longbows. So you'll see on this unit, there's a star button over here, which allows me to spend money to upgrade my unit. If we go into the Civilopedia, and we look up something like the Composite Bowmen, there we go, it'll tell you in the Civilopedia what it upgrades to. So it tells me it would normally upgrade to a crossbowman, although in this case you've got that. So all units, basically all units, will have the opportunity to upgrade into new units. So how do you go from composite bowman to crossbowman? Well, you have to get the technology for crossbowman, which if we click on here, the crossbowman, we can see that the required technology is machinery. So once you get machinery, you can build crossbows, but you can also upgrade your composite bowman to a crossbowman. Likewise, the archer over here is your first range unit you can build. Nothing upgrades to an archer. The archer is the first one you can build, but the archer is what upgrades to the composite bowman. And you unlock the composite bowman when you get the construction technology, which comes pretty early. If you're planning on doing any sort of warfare whatsoever, generally speaking, man, that took a lot of clicks to open that up. Generally speaking, this construction technology is one of the key ones because it unlocks composite bowmen. If we take a look and compare, the archer has a range strength of 7. The composite bowman has a range strength of 11. So it's about 50% better, and that makes a pretty substantial difference. It does cost a little bit more to build, but by that point your cities have usually grown a little bit and have had their terrain improved, so they tend to be a little bit stronger. Catapults are also very, very useful for taking cities because while they have less range strength than, say, the composite bowman, which is, they're kind of on the same tech level, right? Composite bowman, range strength 11. Catapult, range strength 8, which is less. Also, siege units like the catapult require a turn to set up, or rather 1 movement point to set up. So if they move 1 tile, then they can then set up, and then they can't fire. Or what they can do, if they're not moving, they can set up and then fire in 1 turn, whereas the normal range units don't need that setup turn, so they can move 1 step and then still shoot, for example. So why would you use the catapult? Well, it's because catapults get a 200% bonus versus cities. I believe that's an additional 200%. So I think they effectively do triple damage against cities. So that is the real benefit to having a siege weapon. So you don't want to overdo it on siege weapons just because they are a little bit weaker at winning the land war. On the other hand, if you've got a good defensive position, then they're still ranged units. They can still deal some damage, but they can really, really do a lot of damage quickly to the city. Anyway, so we'll go ahead and update this composite bowman to a longbowman, and the longbowman is the real English advantage here because they have a range of 3. All other ranged units, siege units or regular archer type units, all have a range of 2 for a long, long time. It's not until you unlock the artillery way over here in Dynamite in the Industrial Era. This is the first unit you can normally build that has a range of 3. The other one that is worth highlighting is under electronics, the battleship has a range of 3. And if you've got any sort of coastal things and you want to take over coastal cities, battleships are amazing for that. But yeah, it really takes that long normally. So the fact that we've got a longbowman available, where did we get the longbow? I don't remember the technology. It's not the composite. Oh, here it is, Missionary, which I rush. You can see here I beeline to Missionary to get the longbow. So we get hundreds of years earlier, we get a range 3, and it allows you to do so much damage. If you're playing as the English, as soon as you get longbows, now's your time to declare a bunch of wars. If you're playing against the English, you've got to play around this period. You've got to attack them before they get longbows, or you have to wait until substantially after when the longbows have sort of become obsolete. Anyway, all that, let's go ahead and declare war. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Constantinople over here to talk to Theodora. She's just lounging. She's just chilling. She's like, yeah, I noticed you got a lot of troops on the borders. I'm sure this is all fine, right? Not so much. Let's declare war. Actually, before we declare war, we're going to take a look at this screen. This screen reminds you of any deals you might have going on with these guys. So, for example, we have a trade route between London and Brussels right now, which is generating some... Oh, they are allied to Brussels? Is that true? Where is Brussels? It's an excellent question. It's been too long. Oh, way up in the north. Okay, so we're friends with Brussels. They are allied with Brussels. So if I were to declare war on them, Brussels would join in on their side. Is there any chance we might be able to get them to ally us? Well, if we mouse over the allied state over here, we can find out that we would need 30 influence to surpass Byzantium and become their ally. Is there any way we can do that? Well, we could try to bribe them, but you can see, we don't have enough gold. We could get 20 influence, but not 30. There's also a quest, if we got Protestantism, I always have a hard time saying that word for some reason, which is our religion that we founded. If we could get that to Brussels, then we would get some additional influence. But it doesn't look like there's an easy way for us to do either one of those things. So we might just have to accept the fact that we can't spread our religion there. If I do check on our faith up here, is there any chance that I can get a missionary? No, I only have 18 faith in the bank right now, and I would need 200 for a missionary. So it looks like we're going to unfortunately have to worry about fighting Brussels. Now, they will potentially send a few units down to York or to London, but most likely it's not going to be a problem. I'm not too terribly concerned. Maybe I'll keep this longbow here in York to deal with that. Now, the other thing you could do before you declare war, there's some neat things. What if I went to talk to someone else? What if I went to talk to Brazil? Hey, Pedro. Hola. I don't suppose you're interested in declaring war on Byzantium. It would give us a heck of a lot of an edge if there was more people in the war. So there's a couple of different ways we can do it. The first thing I can do is I can go to trade and see if I can bribe him. Can I bribe you to declare war in Byzantium? What do you want for this? No, he's not willing to do it. Nós recusamos. There's another thing we could check. Hey, Pedro, I'm thinking about declaring war in Byzantium. Would you bribe me to do this? No. Sometimes they will pay you to go to war with someone you're already thinking about going to war with. The other thing we can do is we could discuss, hey, maybe we could mutually declare war against Theodora. No, he's got to decline. Now, do note that with the discussion here, if he's for it, you will instantly declare war. So you got to be super ready for that. Whereas the trade, you can sort of see what they would offer you or demand from you, for example, and then you can think about whether you go for it or not. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and declare war. Oops, not trade. Declare war over here. So we are allied. They are allied with Brussels, and we will lose our trade route to Brussels. That's unfortunate, but it's going to be fine. Then she insults us a bit. She gets a bit upset, understandably, of course. And we're going to go ahead and march forward. So, I want to talk a bit more about our composition. I realize there's a big build-up to the actual war, but these are things you should really know. Swordmen, these are melee units, right? They're basically upgraded versions of the warriors. You do need some iron to be able to build them, and you gain the ability to build them when you pick up ironworking. You can also pick up steel if you want, which allows you to upgrade your swordmen to longswordmen, which you can compare the strength. You get a 14 on the swordman, you get a 21 on the longswordman. Again, 50% better, and it's a huge, huge boost. It also leads directly to gunpowder. I could have had steel at this point if I wanted it instead of machinery, but of course the longbowman is so important here, so we're going to do that, and I don't think we'll need the longswordman in this war. So these are going to be my frontline people. So I'm going to go ahead right away and just sort of march forward. Oop, I used the wrong person, but that's okay. we're going to march forward this way. They're going to provide a front line, and my units are going to be behind them. The Horseman over here is not as good of a frontline fighter, and the reason is, A, they have slightly less strength than the Swordmen, 14 versus a 12. But the big thing is mounted units like this get no defensive bonuses. Here, my Swordmen are moving onto hills. If I get attacked, I will get a big defensive bonus because I'm standing on the hill. Mounted units don't get defensive bonuses, so they're good to sort of attack, but not very good to defend. However, he's got a lot of movement. He's got 4 movement instead of 2, which most units have, which means he makes an excellent scout. I can sort of pop in like this, and then maybe pop back out to over here. They make excellent scouts. They're also good at finishing off units, and cities bombard. Cities can deal damage to you, so sometimes you're not really going to be able to get melee units in position to capture the city. You do need a melee unit to capture. Ranged units can do damage to cities, but they can't actually capture the cities. So sometimes what you will do is you will just try to weaken it with your ranged stuff, and you will keep a horseman or some other mounted unit just out of range of a city. Cities can bombard 2 tiles, 1, 2. So if you left a horseman here, the city wouldn't be able to bombard the horseman, but the horseman could probably have enough movement to go in and capture the city once it gets low enough. Nice little tricks like that. So I didn't move the horseman back on top of this hill because A, he doesn't get a defensive bonus from it, and B, I wanted the hill to be open for my longswordmen. So I don't think we'll be able to actually attack anything this turn, but we will just generally move forward as much as possible. Now I have to make a decision about this catapult. If I move this catapult left to this tile over here, it's going to be in bombardment range of Constantinople. Furthermore, this warrior will be able to attack my catapult. Catapults, like most range units, have very poor melee strength. He only has a strength of 7, which is actually weaker than the warrior, which has a strength of 8, which is pretty freaky and bad. Now, I do want to position myself to start bombarding Constantinople, but I could probably afford to wait a turn. The other thing to note is I'm currently on a hill, which means the fact that there are hills here, it won't impede my ranged attack. So I've already set this catapult up, apparently, because it's ready to do a ranged attack now, so we'll go ahead and apply some damage to this warrior. Now, one thing to note over here is I actually forgot to move my Great General first. Great Generals give your troops near it a boost in combat. You can see here, if I've got this swordman selected and I mouse over this warrior, it points out that I get 15% more combat strength by being near a Great General. A Great General has a range of 2 tiles. 1, 2. If I had done this first, then my catapult should have gotten the 15% bonus. I think it'll get... Yeah, it should apply. Would have gotten an extra 15% bonus, so it would have done more damage to the warrior. Little things like that to think about. Not, you know, game-breaking, but it's there. I'm going to go ahead and move this this long bowman forward, and that's that. I do have some workers near the front lines, but they're nicely protected, and we should be okay. So I'm going to go hit next. Oh, apparently I have a warrior sitting around in London. I don't think I need that. I could upgrade him. I'll either have to spend a bunch of money to upgrade him to be useful, or I might want to disband him at this point, because he's sort of... A warrior is not particularly useful at this juncture. I don't have any iron to upgrade this warrior, right? You do need iron for swordmen. I don't have enough iron currently, although I'm currently hooking up this iron mine over here, which will bring me enough to upgrade it. I could just disband it by clicking here. I can click the skull. This will, A, give me a bit of money right now because I'm disbanding him in my territory, but also will save me some maintenance. If I go to my gold over here, you can see I'm spending 12 gold per turn on unit maintenance. So if I disbanded this warrior, that maintenance would go down. I'd save a little bit of money every turn. That being said, I'm not going to disband him, and the reason is, if we check over here, you can see this warrior has gotten 2 upgrades already. Has drill level 1 and 2. That's nice. I don't like to disband units that have upgrades, so I will keep him in London until I've got the iron hooked up over here, at which points I'll be able to upgrade him into a swordman, and he'll be a swordman with 2 promotions right away. I like that. Now we're going to keep marching forward over here. What I think I'm going to do... Now, I would like to take this warrior, so there's a few different ways I can attack it. One of my swordmen could move into this tile and attack on the same turn. That would be fine. We can mouse over to see the odds. We can see we won't kill it with 1 attack from the swordman. We'll also take a little bit of damage, and the downside to that here is we're going to end up on the plains within range of Constantinople. Constantinople will be able to bombard us on this plains tile where we get no defensive bonus. That's not good. I'd rather maybe take it out with a ranged attack. Even if I can't kill it with a ranged attack, I can soften up the warrior with that, which means if I do have to kill it with a swordman, my swordman will take less damage. So let's take this longbowman over here. I can shoot as is, but I have 2 movement, and as long as I have at least 1 movement left, I can still shoot. So why don't I move down to say here, and then shoot this guy. Now, I do have to worry. There's another warrior over here. What do I want to do? What do I want to do? Let me, before I finish this guy's turn, this longbowman is currently on a hill. Is there any chance he can see this person? Maybe. This forest on a hill might get in our way. And it does. Ah, that's a shame. I was hoping that we'd have line of sight because that would be quite nice. I do have another longbowman over here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to step forward, one with the Horsemen. Keeping in mind that I'm not going to want to finish him here. He's currently within range of Adrianople. Cities always have line of sight. Forests, mountains, hills do not block the city bombard. But by moving the Horsemen forward one tile, I can move this longbowman forward one tile, which puts me in range of the warrior. Again, because I have range 3. So I can go ahead and hit this guy, weaken him a little bit, actually almost kill him in one shot. Now that I've done that, I'm going to use my Horsemen to finish him off. That way, I know that my longbowman's not going to be attacked by this guy. I didn't even need to kill him, honestly. He didn't die. Really? 1 hit point left? Now that's just dirty. Still, he's so low, he's not going to be able to do any damage to us in any way. So now with this longbowman, I'm going to go ahead and hit that warrior on a hill, and you can see our tremendous technological superiority because of the difficulty level is being really significant for us. I'm going to go ahead and move this longbowman up here, and I'm going to try to get him on the hill so that we can shoot units from Brussels if they decide to advance. I could also just park him in York, but this way it also gives me an option to maybe steal some workers. Because here's the thing, enemy worker units, if you walk on top of them with any unit, you will capture them. They will become yours. It's a very, very nice thing to do. In York, I completed a temple, which I like to produce more faith. So then what are we going to do next? Well, I got a few options here. We could still build some wonders, because it's a low difficulty level. It's going to be quite easy to grab some of these wonders, but I'm not going to focus on these, just because, again, generally speaking, especially at the higher difficulties, getting these wonders is very difficult. And so we're going to assume that they're either wouldn't be available at this point, or maybe we'll get beaten to it. Maybe we'll be like 12 turns into building the Great Wall, and some AI somewhere will finish the Great Wall, which would be pretty disappointing. So we're going to focus on the buildings up here. Watermills are always quite nice. More food means your cities grow bigger and faster, and a little bit of extra production. Very, very nice. Markets for more money. Brilliant. Excellent. Very good to have in a lot of places. Workshops are stunningly good. So you build this, it gives you 2 extra production right off the bat, but it also gives you a 10% production boost. Later on, these cities are going to be producing 20, 30, 40, 50, maybe even 100 hammers in really crazy situations. And so that 10% boost really adds quite a bit. Also, the sooner you get more production, the faster you can build the other buildings. I will point out, we do need to keep an eye on our happiness. Right now we've got 9 excess happiness, which is pretty good. But as soon as we take Constantinople, A, that's an extra city, which is on happiness. B, it's a big city with lots of population. That's more on happiness. C, taking enemy cities in particular can result in additional happiness penalties, which we'll talk about relatively soon. So, we may want to build a Colosseum, which gives us 2 happiness. Note, we've also got a circus. Both the circus and the Colosseum give you 2 happiness. The Colosseum takes 100 production and has a maintenance cost of 1. The circus only takes 75 production and has no maintenance cost. The catch is, you only build circuses where you have horses or ivory, and it's got to be improved. We have horses in York, which means we can build a circus, which is great. Now, I'm not going to say we have to rush to build the circus, and in fact, I think I'll probably leave it off for now. I'm going to go ahead and get a workshop down. The other thing to note is that if you have a Colosseum in every single one of your cities, you will be able to build the Circus Maximus National Wonder. Every civilization can build a copy of the National Wonder. So the Circus Maximus, you can build as soon as you get Colosseums everywhere, you're allowed to build it. And it's pretty good because it gives you a bunch more extra happiness. So that is the one note. I'm going to go ahead and start with that workshop though. Next, let's see what units need some orders. We've got this archer over here who apparently can't shoot anything, so I'm just going to scooch him forward one more step. And we're going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and kill this warrior with this swordman. It does put him in range of the city bombard. And if this were higher difficulty, I would actually expect there to be more military units within the city as well, but it doesn't seem to be the case right now. Let's go ahead and I'm going to go and move the swordman adjacent to Constantinople as well over here. So they are within bombard range, but I don't like the idea of having a unit within bombard range because you know it's going to get focused down in this and that. But if it's time to make the move towards the city, then I'll move en masse. Yeah, the city will still hit one of my units, but even if it manages to kill that unit, I'm going to have others around to finish the job. I will possibly want to move the Great General forward, but not quite yet. Let's move up that way. Now, here's the thing. The Great General, just like a warrior, or sorry, just like a worker or a settler, can be captured by simply walking on top of them. Actually, he doesn't get captured. Workers get captured. Settlers also get captured, but they get turned into workers. Great General and all great people get instantly destroyed if you walk on top of them. So you don't generally want to keep them unprotected. That being said, there is no way anyone can reach my Great General right now. And the advantage of this spot is he still covers all of these units here. He doesn't cover the Horsemen. I could move one tile to the left to cover the Horsemen. There's the possibility that someone could sneak in here at that point and do some damage. But right now, it's impossible. And the reason for it, there's a few reasons why no one can reach the Great General. First of all, remember, this is a hill and a forest. It's difficult terrain here. It's rough terrain. So to enter this tile costs 2 movement points, which makes it that much harder to reach my Great General. Same thing from the south. The other thing you should note, though, is any time you are trying to move from a tile that is adjacent to an enemy to another tile adjacent to the enemy, that will eat all your movement points. So even if this were flat, and even if you were here with like a horseman with high movement rate, moving from here to here, I believe, will eat up 100% of your movement. I might technically be wrong. It might be a fixed number, but I'm pretty sure it's 100% of your movement and your turn just ends. So it's impossible for anyone to reach the Great General. So I'm just going to hit the space bar to tell him to stay there and hit the next turn. Oh, that's just a cargo ship. You can see the city did bombard my unit and can do a fair amount of damage. You still get experience points whenever you get shot, which is nice. Here, we can see the Byzantines have built a Composite Bowmen, which is certainly a little bit scarier, but not much. We're still going to be fine. All right, I'm going to start off with the Catapult. I'm going to set it up for a siege attack. Again, that will take 1 of my movement points. And then I'll use my second movement point to bombard Constantinople. So you can see here the plus 200%. Giving me a big boost to the amount of damage I do. We're also within range of the Great General, which is nice. We're going to do that. Now, despite the fact that I get such a gargantuan combat bonus to attacking cities, look at how little damage I actually did. Taking a city is a big deal. You've got to put in some real effort for it. I'm trying to figure out what else to do. I'm going to use the Horsemen to finish off the Warrior, because that'll basically be a free attack. Now, I've got to worry about this Composite Bowman a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I want to be able to I guess I can shoot it from now. I forgot about my incredible range. I want to make sure I don't move this longbowman to within range of the city of Adrianople, though. I think I can move here and still shoot. No, I'm getting blocked line of sight. Oh, that's a shame. I was hoping I'd still be able to hit it, but there's a hill here. That being said, I can attack the city, so I'll do that. My goal was to move forward a little bit and still do some damage somewhere. Actually, you can see this longbowman did as much damage to the city as the catapult did. And that's just because the longbows have just a massive 18 ranged attack, which means because we rushed to the longbows, we really didn't need the catapult, but I still wanted to show it off. If I move... there's this guy here, too. Can't currently do anything. I think this longbow will simply move to here. He'll be able to shoot Constantinople next turn. This guy, I'll scooch up by 1. I'll still be able to hit this Composite Bowman. And the important thing is to do the damage first, because now they're weaker, so they'll do less damage in return. Now, speaking of weaker, we've got a couple of damaged units here. We've got the Horsemen, which just finished killing the Warrior, who's down to 70 out of 100 hit points. We've also got our Swordman here, who had killed a Warrior and took a bombard from the city, and is currently at 67 of 100 hit points. So what do we do with these guys? Well, remember, if we take no action, so we're at 2 of 2 movement point. If we take no action with the unit and we just end our turn, we will heal. If you're in friendly territory or in a city, you will heal faster. Being in enemy territory, we will heal a little bit slower. I think we'll only heal 10 hit points, but that's still not bad. But there's something else we can do. There's a button over here called Pillage. If you are standing on a tile improvement, like here we're standing on a mine, you can pillage the mine. This does 2 things. A, it gives you money. You get gold from it. And B, it actually heals the unit as they, just pillage and salvage some different components to patch themselves up or find some weapons or something. Maybe they find some food or something in the site they pillage. Note, you can pillage roads, but roads don't give you the bonus. It's only the regular tile improvement. So if this tile had a mine and a road, hitting this button would pillage the mine, which would heal my unit and give me money. Next turn, I could pillage again. At that point, it would pillage the road, but that wouldn't give me the same perks there. So I could go and attack Constantinople, but look, it's a costly attack. We take a lot of damage. I don't think it makes sense for us to weaken our melee units at this point. We don't want to get so low that the city could bombard us and kill us. That would be no good. Next turn, we'll be hitting the city with a catapult and at least 2 longbows, and then we'll probably melee attack it then. So this unit here, for example, the fully healthy one, I'm just going to tell him to fortify, so he'll get a defensive bonus if the city shoots him. This swordman, I will go and actually pillage this tile and heal most of my hit points. Now, because I have made an action, I won't automatically heal this turn. Also, if I do tell this unit to fortify, he won't actually get the fortification bonus this turn, because you only get the fortification bonus if you fortify on a turn where you've done nothing else. But that's okay. This horseman over here will also do a little pillage. Now, do note, there's a downside to pillaging these tiles. The downside is, as soon as I take Constantinople, these burnt-up tiles, I'll have to repair them. Now, repairing a tile takes less time than building the improvement in the first place, but it's still something that takes time. I'm going to go ahead and scooch the general up over here. That way we actually cover the horseman. The horseman, I think, will probably stay where he is. Constantinople might bombard the horseman, but it's not going to be enough to kill me. Although there's also the bowmen over here, which I don't like the combination of. There's no way. If I move to here, then the bowmen will not be able to shoot me. Because right now the bowman can shoot me where it is. But if I move here, and if the bowman moved to this tile here, it's a hill. That'll eat up all his movement. So this way the horseman only has to be worried about being shot by the city, and that's not going to be enough to kill us. Oh, there we've got a Brazilian unit. It's Brazilian spearmen. Let's go ahead and apply it. Oh, no. Derp. Brussels is who I'm at war with, not Brazil. Turns out Brussels and Brazil, not the same thing. Just, you know, friendly hint. Alright, got that trade route there. If I did have a ship over here, I could have pillaged that trade route and got a couple hundred gold out of it. It's very nice. See, I got bombarded here, but I'm still okay because I did heal as well, so that made a big difference. Just going to wait for the turn to finish, and then we should steal Constantinople.
What is drama but life?
We got another technology. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to start with the catapult. I like to start with my catapults against cities and stuff because that's really the only thing they're going to do. So we'll know right away. Alright, so they're getting lower, but still not enough for our melee to win. Maybe if we did both swordmen and the horsemen, we might be able to take Constantinople, but I bet we can't. So we may as well weaken it some more. And really, I generally like to get the city down to the point where it only takes the 1 melee attack to kill it. So you can see it's still too high. So let's go ahead and use 1 more attack. Okay, at this point, I'm sure that my swordmen can take it. I'll use the first attack. It looks like the city will survive the first attack, but it won't survive the second one. We might even get lucky. It might take it the first time. Nope, not quite. Now, one thing that you should note, when a city has effectively no hit points, if you have bombarded the city down to nothingness, when you attack it, sometimes it'll tell you costly attack or something like that. But if the city literally has, like, no hit points, or rather, I think it technically sits at 1 hit point, your melee attack against the city, no matter how weak your melee unit will always take it. As far as I know, you will always successfully take the city. So here we can definitely take it. We will take some more damage on our swordmen, but we will take the city. And now it's ours. So now we have to decide what to do with it. There are 2 buttons here, which are actions, and a third one just lets us see the city. Let's go ahead and view the city. What do you got in here? You've got 4 wonders: the Colossus, the Parthenon, the Temple of Artemis, and the Terracotta Army. That's great, because now there are wonders. Now, the Terracotta Army doesn't give us much now. It basically mostly does something when you build it. Now it just gives us +1 culture per turn. But hey, I'm not going to complain. Temple of Artemis is really good. That extra growth in all the cities is fantastic. The Parthenon is great for some culture, and the Colossus is great for money. Look at that, 5 gold right off the bat, but also gives you more money for trade routes. Fantastic. We also get a shrine. When you do take a city, a lot of normal buildings will get destroyed, although wonders will never be destroyed. So it's a great city. Now, if this were not a capital, so Constantinople is a capital. If it were not a capital, we'd also have a button to raise the city. What raising the city would do is every turn, it would kill off 1 citizen until we got to 0 citizens, at which point the city would be destroyed outright. Sometimes you're going to want to do that because you may not be in a position where you want an extra city. Or it might be a really bad city. It might be a tiny little city in the middle of the tundra that you're like, why did the computer build a city here? I don't want it. So you'll just raise it to destroy it. But usually you're going to take the city. And then there's 2 options for how to do that. Annexing the city just adds it to your empire. It'll act just like every other city. You can queue up buildings, build units, manage the citizens, do all that sort of stuff. It does result in a lot of unhappiness. You can see here it will increase our unhappiness by 7. And that's quite a bit. We can handle it. Apparently we have enough happiness here. Now our happiness actually went up, probably because, well, I was going to say we have marble now, but actually the marble is pillaged, so we're not getting that. We do have copper, so we got an extra happiness resource here we probably didn't have before. But if I were to annex it, that would be quite unhappy. We can also create a puppet. You can see here the puppet only increases unhappiness by 5 instead of 7. In fact, a larger city, the annexation penalty would be even worse. You don't control puppets directly. I'm going to go ahead and make it a puppet, and I'm going to explain why. So, two things. One, when you capture an enemy city, it will start off in resistance based on its size. While it's in resistance, the city does nothing. So there's zero reason to annex a city until the resistance is gone. Okay? Once the resistance is gone, if the city is puppeted, it will build its own stuff. You have no control. If I go in here, it'll tell me, whoa, you can't do anything with it. I can still view it, but I can't do anything with the city. I'm not going to be allowed to choose production. I can't purchase things. I can't purchase tiles. I can't do anything with the city at all. Whereas if I annex it, then I'll be able to do that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait 5 turns at least. There's no reason for me to annex it until after the resistance is gone. I will note that if you build... So you get extra unhappiness if you annex enemy cities. But if you have mathematics, which you should at this point, you can build a courthouse. And this is something you build in an annexed city. Building a courthouse in an annexed city will get rid of the extra unhappiness from the fact that you annexed it. It'll make it the same as if it was a normal city or a puppeted city. So there you have it. Anyway, there's the first battle. There's no reason at this point, I think, that we couldn't move all our troops down to Adrianople and win that battle. But in case we didn't want to, we could, at this point, go and negotiate with Theodora. Oh, she looks mad. We could try to negotiate peace. Oh, she's not willing. The AI will usually have a certain amount of time. After a war is declared, there will be a period where they're not willing to negotiate. Even if they're getting their butt kicked, like they are now, they have this built-in sort of time limiter. At this point, I could just sort of stand around here and wait, and eventually she would be willing to talk to me. Might even only take 1 turn. We still can't upgrade the warrior. Nothing for us to shoot over here. Great general do nothing. A longbow, go ahead and shoot him. And we might be able to finish it off with the horsemen. If we can. So I'm just going to end the turn and see if she might be willing to negotiate next turn. Regardless of the fact, we'll end this video after this turn, or after this next turn. We got Brazilian trade routes coming to us, which is very nice. We got a Brazilian trade route. I can't remember. How much is a Brazilian? We got some more unit upgrades, but let's go see if she might be willing to talk now. Nope, she's not. So when you negotiate peace, it's just like bring up the trade screen. So let's go to Brazil over here. So in the trade screen, you can ask for money and resources and things like that. We can actually also ask for cities. Like, hey, Pedro, you want to give me Sao Paulo? He'll say no. But if we're discussing a peace deal, if we've gone and beat up the AI in the peace deal, for peace, they're very likely to want to give us stuff if we're winning. They'll give us gold or resources, and often they'll also be willing to trade cities. Now, it's very likely that Byzantium has no other cities other than Adrianople. So they will never trade away their last city. They're not allowed to. It's in the game mechanics. They will not trade that away. It won't even be an option. But if they had another city, say over here, whenever she starts to become willing to talk, we could probably extort her enough to get another city out of there. So, very good war. I think we could probably go and eliminate Byzantium completely. I will point out on this pop-up, you are being warned that you will receive a major warmonger penalty if you capture this city. Most cities, you will get a major warmonger penalty for capturing it. And what that does, if you go to another AI and you mouse over this friendly status, okay, we're fine right now. But sometimes there will be, it'll say they're concerned about our warmongering. Some AIs are more sensitive to this than others. Like Napoleon doesn't really care if you go around conquering people quite as much. But it will hurt your relations because they see you as a warmonger, they see you as a threat, that sort of thing. Again, on lower difficulties, that's not going to be as much of an issue. But at high difficulties, it can result in a situation where you've gone and like, we've conquered Byzantium, and then everyone else in the world decides to declare war on us because, you know, we're kind of being warmongering monsters. Fair enough. You know, I can't argue against that. It's kind of true. All right, I think this will bring us to the end of our tutorial series now. I apologize again that this part took so long. We've covered, I believe, every major aspect of gameplay. We talked about initial settling and growth, building units, research, that sort of thing. I guess the one thing we haven't really talked about are the victory conditions, but they will come out more or less organically. Maybe we did look at the victory progress screen. There are 4 major victory types. We'll go ahead and include this in this video here. Domination is theoretically the one we might be working towards now. To win a domination victory, you need to own every capital in the game. You don't have to take all their cities, and it has to be their original capital. So you can see in that screen, we own Byzantium's capital. Constantinople was the original capital of Byzantium, and we own it. You can see here Adrianople's got a star here to represent that it's their new capital, but this was their original capital, and that's what you're looking for. If you can go, you don't have to take any their other cities, but if you personally own every capital in the game, you win. Note that this is different from the original release of Civilization, where the rules were that you had to be the last person with your original capital, which meant that, like, if someone else took Rio de Janeiro in the old game, that would be fine. I could still win a domination, but that is no longer the case. Oops, that is the wrong button. Science Victory. So Science Victory requires that you build a spaceship, and it's called the Science Victory because in the tech tree, you have to basically get all the way to the end of the tech tree, and you've got to get some key technologies. Particle physics for the SS engine, nanotechnology for the SS stasis chamber, SS is spaceship, or space shuttle. Spaceship, I guess. You need the cockpit, you need the booster. I feel like I'm missing one. Maybe I'm not. Booster, cockpit, stasis chamber, engine. I guess that's it. And you also need to build the Apollo program. Step 1, build the Apollo program. Step 2, build all the bits for the spaceship, which are actual units on the screen, on the map, and move them to your capital, and add them to the spaceship. Once all the spaceship components are put together, you launch into space and you win the game with a science victory. There's the diplomatic victory, which is kind of tricky and involves getting a bunch of votes for world leader in the UN. How this works will become very obvious once you unlock the UN and the World Congress and all those things. You'll see how votes work. It's very, very simple. I will note that the way to actually win a diplomatic victory is to be allied with a lot of city-states, because in late game, city-states give you votes. And so if you are friends with lots and lots and lots of city-states, the city-states will vote for you. If you're allied with them, they will vote for you, and that's how you get enough votes to become the world leader. And then finally, there's a cultural victory condition, which requires that you become influential with every other city in the game. You do that by building a lot of tourism generating things. So there's tourism and there's culture. And right now we have none. It's too early in the game, but later on you produce culture. And if you have, later on you will produce tourism. And your tourism spreads to nearby nations. So we can see Brazil and Byzantium is near us. If our tourism exceeds Brazil's culture, then we will be massively influential. The people in Brazil will consider themselves to be English. They will speak our language, watch our television, and eat our McDonald's. And if we do that with every other civilization in the game, then we win. Once we're influential with everyone, that's your cultural victory. And it requires that you build a lot of little art things and some hotels and airports and all that kind of jazz. Basically, you look for buildings and things that give you culture. And for example, that's the CN tower. The broadcast tower is a radio. So the broadcast tower would be an excellent example. It gives +1 culture, but also that city produces 33% more culture than before. So it multiplies everything you've got there. And so that sort of thing. And so, those give you culture, but then there's things you can do that convert culture in a city to tourism, yada, yada, yada. Here we've got a hotel, for example. So there's lots of little things you can do. Anyway, we're going to wrap this up, and thank you for watching the series. Sorry this part took so very long to get to, but hey, world domination's hard work. See you next time, folks. And by next time, I mean in a Let's Play. This tutorial is definitely over. Bye-bye.